On a distant planet called Chiton, a lady gives birth while her husband, Jan, brings the newborn to her. They're all gooey-eyed over the baby's cries when suddenly, a spaceship sound interrupts. Panicking, Jan's wife suggests hiding the baby, but Jan doubts it'll work. She asks for alternatives, and they both spot a space pod simultaneously. The spaceship lands, and Jan rushes to set coordinates for the pod, picking the USA, thinking it's the safest. As it zooms away, soldiers storm in with Skorba, a dictator, seated comfortably. Skorba demands answers while the pod vanishes into the sky. While soldiers detain the couple, Skorba grills Jan about the baby's whereabouts. Jan clams up, facing Skorba's threats. Then, Agata, their daughter, steps up, offering help. She reads Jan's mind, discovering the baby's destination, Earth. Agata takes off in pursuit, promising to deliver the baby alive. She catches up just as the pod veers off course, landing in Spain, while Agata touches down in the USA. Meanwhile, Juan and Maria nearly collide with the baby's pod on their drive home. They find the baby inside, and Maria cradles him, winning over Juan despite his initial doubts about the mustached baby. When the baby grabs Juan's finger, he accidentally bends it backward, causing Juan to yell out in pain. They take the baby home, where Juan shaves off his mustache, only to watch it grow back instantly. They name him Juan but affectionately call him Juanito, raising him as their own. As Juanito grows, they realize he has super strength, sight, and speed, which he sometimes uses. But this makes the other kids think he's strange. One day, during a soccer game where he's the goalie, feeling pressured and unsure who to pass to, he uses his speed to score a goal himself. His teammates aren't happy, and his dad scolds him for using his powers publicly. On his birthday, none of his friends show up, leaving him feeling down. Juan tries to cheer him up, reminding him that standing out can attract negativity. Maria brings the cake, urging him to make a wish. Closing his eyes, Juanito wishes to be normal, blowing out the candles and accidentally splattering cake on his parents' faces. Jump ahead 20 years, and he's Juan, all grown up. These days, Juan crashes on his sofa. One morning, he snaps awake to his phone buzzing. It's his buddy and boss, Jamie, assuming Juan's running late again. Juan fibs, but Jamie insists he checked Juan's spot and found it empty. This time, Juan claims he was stuck in the bathroom, so Jamie orders him to haul over to the office pronto. Juan scrambles into clothes and beats Jamie there. When Jamie catches up, Juan acts like he's been grinding away for ages. He sniffs the scent Jamie's wearing, curious when he started rocking it. Jamie spills that he wants to chat because he's bringing in a new hire today. Juan's not pleased, scolding Jamie for turning work into a dating scene. But Jamie shrugs it off, saying it's all part of the game. He asks Juan to help plan a welcome bash for her, but Juan points out they've never done that before. Fed up with his friend's constant requests, Juan decides to ditch Jamie and grab breakfast instead. While attempting to retrieve a stuck chocolate bar from the vending machine, he notices someone outside and uses his sharp vision to identify the newcomer as Luisa, an old college pal. Juan lets her in, but Luisa mistakes him for the receptionist. Later on, they, along with Jamie and a couple of janitors who are off-duty, awkwardly celebrate Luisa's arrival. Feeling uncomfortable, Luisa excuses herself to the restroom. Despite Juan's efforts to make the party enjoyable, Luisa leaves abruptly while he goes to fetch more ice. Rushing to the station, Juan barely makes it to the platform but finds Luisa absent. Just as he starts to worry, he hears her calling from the opposite side. Though he asks her out for dinner, she declines due to an approaching train. However, fate intervenes when Juan unexpectedly encounters Luisa on the train, initiating a conversation and inviting her for pizza. Their chat is cut short by a disruptive group of teens, prompting Luisa to confront them before smacking Juan with her bag. The kid asks Juan if he'll fight back, but Juan stays firm, trying to calm things down. The kid threatens to take Juan down with just a finger, which Juan thinks is impossible until it happens. Another kid sneaks up behind Juan, making him lose balance. Next, Juan sits at the station, remembering his father's words on his birthday. He snaps back when he hears the final train announcement, but it rushes past due to brake issues. Juan notices a poster urging action and takes it as a sign to use his abilities. He tries to stop the train at the next station but fails. At another station, he uses a fire hose and his strength to halt the train. He succeeds before slipping away, trying to stay hidden. Meanwhile, in America, Scorba's daughter, Agata, is a big deal in the industry with her company, Chit Technologies, showcasing their new invention, Chitobot. Her presentation is interrupted when her team finds Jan's son. Agata leaves the stage to confirm, although she can't see his face in the CCTV footage, it's enough evidence for her to go meet him. The next day, word spreads fast about a guy who halted a train, and everyone at work is glued to the news. Luisa finds the idea of a Spanish hero ridiculous, seeing it as a publicity stunt. Juan, however, defends the hero. Their focus shifts back to the TV when news of Agata's visit becomes a hot topic. Agata publicly expresses her desire to meet the train-stopping man, believing they could achieve great things together. Meanwhile, in Chit Technologies HQ in Barcelona, Agata contacts Scorba, urging him to return home as she's located Jan's son. Scorba berates his daughter and warns that if he doesn't find the boy upon arrival, he'll unleash chaos. On the flip side, Juan is on the bus, racing to meet Luisa for dinner. He calls to say he's almost there. Suddenly, he hears a ringing that only he can hear. It's Agata trying to communicate. But Juan brushes it off as radio noise. She tells him not to speak because she can't hear him, and insists he sees her to get the full story. Juan steps off the bus and heads straight to Agata's office, where she's eagerly waiting for him. He recognizes her as the vacuum lady, while Agata tries to cozy up to him, claiming they're kindred spirits from the same planet. Juan disagrees. Soon after, he decides to leave, but Agata reads his mind and sees Luisa waiting for him. She tries to restrain him with one of her men, but Juan easily overpowers him. More men are called in, but Juan escapes again. So, Agata resorts to threatening to obtain Luisa's DNA. Meanwhile, at the office, Jamie leaves a note for Luisa, just as the Chit vacuum cleaner starts analyzing the lip mark on Luisa's cup. Jamie investigates the noise and finds the vacuum attacking him. Thankfully, two other janitors help him destroy it, while Jamie warns Luisa. Back to Juan, he's standing outside Luisa's door when she calls him from behind. They argue because Juan was late, but he explains something odd happened on his way. Their argument escalates, with Luisa feeling hurt and Jamie feeling betrayed by their interaction. Right then, a van from Chit Technologies pulls up behind Jamie, and Agata is inside. She finds out that he also has feelings for Luisa and offers to help him win her over if he comes with her. Meanwhile, Juan heads back to his folks' place to dig into his origins. At first, they try to keep it under wraps, but eventually spill the beans when Juan mentions a girl claiming she wants to whisk him away to another galaxy. His parents reveal the space pod that brought him to Earth. When Juan touches it, a hologram of his real dad, Jan, pops up, explaining their history. Although Juan's skeptical, his dad encourages him to accept his identity. While his mom searches the pod, she finds a cloth scrap with an S on it. Before long, Juan's sporting a suit made from the cloth. When they chat about his flying potential, they decide to test it by having him practice on a rooftop. After some failed attempts, Juan walks off disheartened, only to meet some kids who mock him. As he starts levitating, they bolt in fear. He floats around until he gets home. Later, Luisa shows up at their door and embraces Juan. She already knows everything and they retreat to his room to chat. Luisa tries to speak well of Agata, but Juan wants to discuss what happened the night before, something Agata is clueless about. So Jamie steps in to play the fake Luisa. Jamie was pretty mad at the guy, but when Juan said he wanted to talk to Jamie first because they're friends, Jamie felt touched. Then Agata tried to control things by hitting Juan, and they got into a fight. Juan's mom joined in, smacking fake Luisa with her shoes, which got Juan angry, so he smacked fake Luisa's head. Meanwhile, Jamie decided to back out of Agata's plan and warned Juan that Agata was planning to kidnap Luisa. Agata found out and decided to use Jamie and the real Luisa as bait. Back home, Juan's mom urged him to save Luisa, so he flew off to find her. They met at the Arco de Triunfo, and Juan asked her questions to make sure she was the real deal. After confirming, Luisa asked what was going on, and Juan spilled everything. She didn't believe him until he showed her proof, but just as he was about to, some guys in costumes started a fight. While all that was happening, Agata's men kidnapped Luisa and told Juan that if he wanted to save her, he had to join Agata and her father to take over the world. Juan rushed to Agata's place and found Luisa and Jamie tied up. Luisa still didn't believe he had powers, but Jamie encouraged him to prove it. Juan used his super sight to tell Luisa what she was wearing, but Agata used some sound thing to hurt Juan. Jamie and Luisa cheered him on, trying to help him fight through the pain. When that didn't work, Jamie started insulting him, which actually helped. They all started insulting him just as Scorba landed on Earth. Scorba met with Agata first, ignoring her and saying he was excited to see Jan's son. Agata led them to where Juan was. Luisa and Jamie keep on insulting Juan until he finds a way for them to escape by burning a hole in the wall. Meanwhile, Scorba keeps criticizing Agata, saying she's not as good as her relatives. Agata finds out that Juan and the others have escaped and gets scolded by her father. When Scorba questions her abilities, she responds by cutting off his oxygen. As he dies, Agata reads his mind and finally earns his approval. She then becomes the leader of his troops and takes his place. Juan takes Luisa and Jamie home and decides to quit being a superhero. Scorba's spaceship arrives, and Agata emerges from it, threatening to destroy the planet starting with their town. A fight breaks out when Agata's egg turns into a giant robot. Juan's father gets pulled into Agata's machine. Meanwhile, the three kids watch as Juan struggles against Agata. He ends up in a soccer match, where he holds on to the net. Agata chases after Juan's mother, and Juan travels back in time, accidentally trapping his mother. He gets attacked by Agata's robot. Just before Agata can finish off Juan, Jamie distracts her, and he gets pulled in too. Luisa and Juan's parents start insulting Juan, which snaps him out of it. Juan tears off the robot's arm and fights back. Luisa tells Juan to use his icy breath, pushing Agata into the pool. They reunite, and Juan reveals he has a plan for their home planet. Scorba's boat docks in Chiton with Agata as expected, but instead of Juan, the guy from the costume department is there, ready to pick a fight. Next scene, Luisa switches off the alarm as Juan wakes up. He puts on his suit and zooms across the city, while the radio talks about how people feel about him being a hero. Juan feels good, chilling on a statue. Later, Luisa waits at a restaurant while Juan's running late again. They argue about balancing their relationship with his superhero gig. After some back and forth, they agree. Luisa asks Juan to foot the bill, but the waiter says someone at the bar already did. They look over, and a mysterious hooded man calls him Superlopez, saying he owes him before vanishing with a pacifier. Turn on alerts, like, and subscribe for more videos similar to this one. Thank you for watching.